For the third time this month, a guy in a dollar store cop costume was scrambling over my backyard fence like he was auditioning for a Cops Gone Wild episode. But this time he had no idea what he was in for. My grandfather wasn't out there planting begonias. He was running live electrical wire along the fence. Let's just say the HOA thought they'd be clever hiring a wannabe lawman to scare us into giving up our home. Big mistake. You ever hear a grown man yelp like he met the business end of a cattle prod because the whole neighborhood did, and the security cameras got every second? That's the night the game changed. And let me tell you, my grandfather's just getting started. I probably should have realized my grandpa was built different when I saw him humming old war songs and talking to his shovel like it owed him money. William Chin, 78, retired building inspector, been in that lakeside house since disco was king. Most guys his age whine about their backs. Mine, he'll disappear for hours digging holes and wiring up God knows what while muttering about loose ends. Ever since that lake went from sleepy fishing spot to developer's gold mine, every shark within 50 miles has circled our little plot. But here's what they don't know: Grandpa's faced bigger monsters than real estate thugs with a clipboard. 6 months back, things got wild when Karen Henderson waltzed in as the new HOA president. You know, the type weaponized haircut ruler in the fanny pack sends angry letters about grass being a quarter-inch too high. But Karen wasn't satisfied playing decoration police. No, she started pushing compliance letters that didn't match a single rule in the HOA bylaws. Stuff like remove unsightly vintage mailbox. Never mind, the mailbox came with the house and probably has more personality than half the board. Then the break-ins started. 2 different times, men in what looked like police uniforms, except, real cops don't wear Nike sneakers or carry those little plastic walkie-talkies you get at Walmart. Grandpa just kept shaking his head. Trust but verify, he'd mutter, screwing tiny cameras into birdhouses and programming sensors like he was prepping for war. I asked him where he learned all this spy stuff. He just winked. You'd be surprised what you pick up on a city payroll. He wasn't kidding about legal prep either. Every 50 feet along the property line, bright yellow no trespassing and electric fence signs. Perfectly legal thanks to our 2 rescue goats. Grandpa set the voltage to scare not fry, but let's be honest, the real shock was meant for trespassers with sticky fingers. One night we found fresh boot prints by the bookshed. Somebody was casing us all right. But it wasn't tools or jewelry they wanted. It was Grandpa's old building inspection files. Why would anyone care about permits from the 80s, I asked. He just stared at the prints like he was reading Morse code in the dirt. Old dogs, long tails. He grinned. Let's see if Karen wants to hear how that story ends. The next break-in. Well, that's the one that set this whole war in motion. Grandpa didn't call the cops, didn't even blink. Just sat on the porch with his tea watching his sensors light up red. Through the night vision scope, he watched that fake cop tiptoe to the back gate, reach out and BZZT. Blue spark screaming guy hits the ground and thrashes into the bird bath. Show's not over though. While the guy's still yelping, these hidden sprinklers kick in, spraying him with invisible dye. The stuff clings to your clothes for weeks and glows under blacklight. Insurance, Grandpa said with a shrug. Criminals like to blend in. He waited half an hour, then we went out and checked. The guide dropped a lock-picking gadget, looked military grade, and a scrap of fabric hung on the fence. Muddy tire tracks pointed to a luxury sedan parked up the block. This wasn't smash and grab. They're not after heirlooms, Grandpa muttered, flipping through old files. They want the Sunset Hills records. Something in those permits is worth a lot to someone powerful. Next morning, the doorbell rings, and it's Janet Morrison, the HOA treasurer, usually too shy to speak above a whisper. But she's white as a sheet, clutching an envelope like it's ticking. I printed these off Karen's email, she whispered, eyes darting around. Inside months of messages between Karen and a development company, Development Solutions, Inc. Turns out Karen's been plotting to push Grandpa out. And she's got help. The plan: intimidate plant violations, get the news involved, and paint Grandpa as a menace so the whole community turns on him. And if all that fails, send in the pros. Janet. God bless her, had been keeping double books for years, tracking every shady dollar Karen siphoned to her friends' companies and her own legal bills. Karen even changed her name. Real name's Karen Miller because she got burned in the Sunset Hills scandal years ago. You guessed it, Grandpa's investigation put her out of business, cost her her license, her marriage, the works. She's been waiting a decade to pay him back, and now she's using HOA rules as her weapon. That's when the cast expanded Janet's evidence, Grandpa's spy games, and soon more characters joined the fray. There's Detective John Miller, an old friend from the sheriff's department. Guy owes Grandpa for busting a drug ring back in the day. Then comes Rebecca Foster, sharp-eyed federal prosecutor rolling up with her box of files. She's been tracking development solutions across state lines. And like every good crime saga we get, Jake Wilson, the investigative reporter, follows the paper trail like a bloodhound and has a Pulitzer to prove it. Suddenly, our lakeside drama's on the federal radar. Karen's big move. She schedules a public HOA emergency meeting with news cameras rolling, hoping to finish Grandpa off by painting him as a violent, unstable old man. She's got lawyers, fake witnesses, even a psychiatrist to call him dangerous. For most folks, that'd be game over, but not for Grandpa. At the hearing, Karen's up there grandstanding about community safety, cue the crocodile tears. But when it's Grandpa's turn, he stands, looks Karen dead in the eye, and asks, "Should I call you Karen Henderson or Karen Miller? Remember Sunset Hills?" Want to tell the crowd about foundation cracks, prison time, and why you lost your license. You could hear a pin drop. Karen's face goes chalk white. Her attorneys start panicking. This wasn't in the script. Then Grandpa flips the script entirely. Shows the real video footage, fake cops breaking in, not so fake electric fence, and the whole fluorescent dye trick. He shines a UV light over Karen's lawyer. Turns out it's the same guy who got zapped climbing the fence. The audience gasps. Federal prosecutor Rebecca stands, flashes her badge, and declares the meeting evidence in a racketeering investigation. That's when the FBI steps in. Real police this time. Karen loses it, shouting about state judges, political connections, swearing they'll bury us in lawsuits. But her public confession is caught on live TV. In 72 hours, Development Solutions collapses. 17 execs arrested, $80 million in fraud exposed, half the HOA board frog-marched out in cuffs. Janet's elected president, neighbors organize a barbecue in Grandpa's honor, and our street finally breathes easy again. Weeks later, over coffee on the porch, I finally asked the question that's been eating at me since this all began. "Grandpa, who were you really?" He just grins. Pulls out a faded photo, him shaking hands with Ronald Reagan in the Oval Office. "William Chen, CIA, 31 years. Counterintelligence was my game. Building inspector, that was just cover." So yeah, my grandpa's a retired spy who took down a crime syndicate in between growing tomatoes and chasing off fake cops. Turns out you don't need to be young or strong to stand up to bullies. You just need to be smart, document everything, and know when to shine a little light, literally. Ever feel powerless when people with money and power try to steal what's yours? Maybe you're not as alone as you think. So tell me, what would you do if your HOA turned into a criminal gang? Ever had to outsmart a bully or fight back against a rigged system? Drop your story below, hit. Like if you believe justice takes a village and maybe a retired spy or two. And don't forget to subscribe if you want more tales where the bad guys finally get what's coming.